Now let's learn simple future tense. We have already learned simple present tense, we learned simple past tense, and then the simple future tense. Now I'm sure you understand what future is, right? It's easy. Simple future. Simple future means what is going to happen in the future as it is. Okay, so here you'll have to express actions that you will do at a later stage in your life. If not today, some other day. Okay, so any action that is going to take place, so far it has not taken place, but it will take place sometime later. To express such actions, you use simple future tense. Say for example, today you are a student, correct? Earlier you were a kid. Okay, I am a student, I was a kid, I will be an employee, right? Now, if you look at these sentences, these are one, I am a student is my current status. What was I earlier? I was a kid. That was my past status. I will be an employee. That's my future status, right? Now, regular activities, if you say, simple present tense we learned, right? So it's a regular activity. What is a regular activity? You wake up every day, you take bath every day, you eat every day, you sleep every day. What if you want to speak about something that happened yesterday? Whatever you did yesterday, maybe you woke up yesterday, you went for shopping yesterday, maybe you celebrated your birthday yesterday, right? Similarly, what in the future? You will earn lots of money. I will earn lots of money. Maybe you will buy a nice bike. You will buy, right? If you already have a bike, you have a bike. Now say you do not have, you will buy it later stage. Maybe in the future, I will buy a bike or I will purchase a bike. Okay, so we are now looking at simple future tense. Okay, now let's see how the formulae are, what the structure of the sentences are. Okay, so that it becomes easy for you to frame your statements or frame your thoughts in case they fall into future. Okay, now unlike present and past, here the rules are zero. There is hardly any rule except for a sentence structure. The reason, if you remember, I put will in models. Okay, because it follows the characteristic of a model. There are 9 models, right? We learned all the 9 models: will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, and must. We learned all the 9 models, right? Now all these models follow a very similar structure. Okay, so that's the reason I added them in models instead of putting them in B forms. Okay, will and shall actually can also be added in B forms. Now remember what B forms are: is, am, are, was, were. 5 B forms, right? Do forms: do, does, did. Have forms: have, has, and had. Models: will, would, shall, should, can, could, and may, might, must. Alright, now we are going to use 2 different models for simple future tense. Now, both the words are used and they are prevalent. However, there is a slight difference in the usage in certain applications. So for now, there isn't any difference and you can comfortably use will or shall. Will or shall, and then the verb here. Now there isn't any logic for this. Whether you use a will or a shall, you should always use a present form of a verb. I think we have already learned that whenever we use, like when you learn simple past tense, you would have learned that when you use would, the next verb, in case you want to use a verb, should always be a present form of verb. So we learned the habits. I used to drink, I would drink. Now here, I will drink. So far you haven't, but you will drink. Like say, till today, I have not drunk Complan. So I will drink it sometime later. I will drink Complan tomorrow. So this is a future action. Now instead of will, I can also use shall. Clear? I will drink Complan tomorrow. I shall drink Complan tomorrow. Now this is a very flat statement. Okay. Now say I want to tell people, or I want to express a feeling that I am not going to do an action sometime in the future. Okay. So in that case, my sentence would be subject plus will or shall plus not plus the present form of a verb, which means I will not I will not commit mistakes. Now why say tomorrow? Right from now. I will not commit mistakes hereafter. I will not commit mistakes hereafter, which means maybe you made certain mistakes till today, maybe you have made mistakes even till the minute, but hereafter you will not any mistakes. So how does it sound? Doesn't it sound like a promise? I will not make mistakes hereafter. It sounds as if you are giving an assurance. You are making a promise. Okay, so from this, can we assume that will is not just used to express a future action, but is also used to give an assurance, or is also used to make a promise? Are we clear with this? Now you might ask me a question. When I explain do or does, I explain the contracted form. Do not is equal to don't. Does not is equal to doesn't. Did not is equal to didn't. Is not is equal to isn't. Was not is equal to wasn't. Were not is equal to weren't. Correct? Now, here, can we try something like that? Maybe we can try. Let's see. Let's first try with will. Subject plus, now will plus not is actually won't. Okay, and then you can use a present form of a verb. Instead of saying I will not commit mistakes, I can also say I won't commit mistakes, because will not is equal to won't. Now can we try the same thing with shall? No, we cannot. Okay, that's the reason I first gave you the uncontracted form, the complete form. I will not is good, I shall not is good, I won't is also good, but I shan't, there isn't anything like that. Okay, maybe there is something like that, probably it was there in old English or maybe in the medieval English, but today in the modern English we do not use shan't, we use shall not. Okay, and shall itself is a word which is not used completely. Unless in a few question forms, shall is not used. They consider shall old English words. So people prefer using will. Especially with the Americans, they don't use shall, they use will. I will not instead of I shall not. Will is very, very common word, and it's prevalent in the usage of English in most of the countries. Okay, whichever country speaks in English, especially the Americans, they use will instead of shall. Are we clear? So in order to express an action that might take place in the future, say you want to say that an action is going to happen in the future, you can use subject plus will or shall plus the present form of verb, and in case you want to use it in negative, you can say will not. Is it clear? So the two things, one, to express that an action will take place in future, one, and the other way, if you look at this statement in specific, I will not commit mistakes. It means I will not commit mistakes, I am making a promise. So it can also be used in making promises, or you can also use this in giving an assurance. I will not do it can also be an assurance. Okay. So we have learned how to express a future action. Now you also have learned how to make a promise, right? Now sometimes these sentences also sound like threats. Situational, remember. Formula is all the same. Subject plus will or shall plus present form of a verb. Now this was a formula that I gave you some time ago. Now if you look at it, formula remains the same, but situationally the meaning might change. Say, I will go home later. Now here the meaning is very flat. I'll go home later. I'm just telling that an action is going to happen at a little later stage. Now let's say the other statement that we discussed some time ago. Let's change the statement. I will give you 100 rupees. How does it sound? I will give you 100 rupees. Doesn't it sound like a promise? Doesn't it sound like an assurance? Okay, let's say it sounds like a promise. I will give you 100 rupees. Next, let's take we for some time. We will help you. Now, how does this sound? We will help you. Doesn't it sound like an assurance? Don't worry, we will help you. Say there is a cyclone. hundreds of people lost their houses, many people lost their lives. Then the government comes, they say, don't worry, we'll help you. Sounds assuring, correct? Say, let's take another example. Say you beat me and say I cannot beat you. You beat me and I'm so weak that I cannot beat you. Then what should I do? I have two options. One, either I sit and cry or I can threaten you. You beat me, I'll tell my daddy, right? I'll tell my father. Doesn't it sound like a threat? Now, I will tell this to the teacher. I will tell the teacher that you beat me. Got it? I will tell the teacher. Now, doesn't it sound like a threat? I am threatening you. You're beating me, I will tell to the teacher. Now see, the sentences are all one and the same. Subject plus will plus shall plus present form of verb. Yeah, you might ask a question, why am I using only I and we? Because only with I and we you can have so many varieties of feelings. If you look at the other subjects, you might not have so many feelings, or you might have. So I'm trying to use only I and we so that the meaning is very, very clear. Alright. Sentence structure is one and the same, but the meanings might change. At one place it sounds you are just informing about what will happen. In the second, you are speaking, or your sentence means you're promising somebody. In the third case, it appears as if you are assuring somebody. And in the fourth case, it appears as if you are threatening somebody. So, see, I've discovered it myself. Simple future, I thought it's only future tense. Now see the discovery. Okay, it is used to express future tense, it is used to threaten somebody, it is also used to make a promise, it is also used to make an assurance. Let's see if the same meanings can come if you use some other subjects. He will go home later. Sounds like future, right? He'll go home later. He will give you 100 rupees. Even here, the assurance is from your end. The promise is from your end. He will give you 100 rupees. You are promising some other person that this person will give 100 rupees. He will help you. So I'm saying, don't worry, he will help you. Again, even while I'm using he will help you, my statement again appears as if I am giving an assurance. It's not that person. I haven't even discussed, or you wouldn't even know whether that person would really help. I am giving an assurance from my end. Don't worry, he will help you. Okay, and the last, he will tell this to the teacher. Also appears like a threat, doesn't it? Yes or no? You beat me, correct? You beat me. And I remain silent. I cannot complain because I'm afraid of my teacher. So I'll say, he will tell this to the teacher. He will tell this to the teacher. I am threatening, right? So the same formula can be used to express 4 different feelings, while the meaning is all the same. All this is going to happen in the future. Yes or no? Even I'll go home later will happen in future. I'll give you 100 rupees. Now I'm not. Later I will, which means it's also a future action. We will help. We haven't, but we will. That's also a future action. Even this, I will tell this to the teacher. I haven't yet, but I will. Okay. All the 4 are future actions, but in the 4 future actions, you get so many feelings. Alright. That's the reason I say it's not really important to learn grammar. If it was only grammar, my lecture would have ended here. Okay. But the focus should be the application of the language. Where do we apply? Okay, see, these are the ways you can apply this. Now we are done only with the positive form of it. Now the same thing will go to the negative form. I won't go home, which means at a future stage. I won't give you 100 rupees. I'm telling very clearly, not now, even in future I will not. We won't help you. I'm clearly telling what you can expect. We won't help you, so don't expect anything. Okay, I won't tell this to the teacher. Now here I am making an assurance. I am giving an assurance. Don't worry, I will not tell this to the teacher. Okay, positive or negative statements. Alright, clear? Alright, now after this, we'll slowly move on to understand a little more in depth about how to express future tense. What if I don't want to use will? Then you would say, you have explained about shall, right? So we'll use shall. Good. What if I don't want to use even shall? I don't want you to use will or shall. Then how will you express a future action? Let's learn that as well. Okay.